go yet. So we're going to check that out. Gearing Ruined, evidently. Let's see what this is all about. And we will wait for raid to fill. While it fills, we'll check out this video. Let me pause the music real quick before we get this started. The music that I forgot to open in the beginning of the stream, so you guys just sat in silence. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Here we go.
Knowledge is powder. Wait, that's not right. Knowledge is chowder?
Put on heroic,
Flounder.
sure.
Oh, for goodness sake. Line.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin, Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show, where, we're still getting this new set sorted. I mean, I hope you like the new finished set, which we finished ages ago, and which is definitely finished, unlike Dragonflight, which is definitely not, but which this week went into beta, welcoming a whole load more players in to test their classes' talent trees, and dragon riding, and story quests, and dungeons, and not some pretty important other things, because of course we're going to be talking about what is in the beta, but we're really at the stage now,
24 minutes, 1 hour incoming.
Question might be, what is not there? As well as taking a big worried look at what appears to be Blizzard's first real major dick-up of the testing period so far. The first
evidently
red
Blizzard messed
flag.
up.
Because look, I don't want to soar too high
Blizzard
in the
messed
air
up
on
on
my
something.
hopium blimp here. Not because it's dangerous though, you understand. In fact, there is no safer place to be than a hopium blimp. It's a very safe way to travel. It hardly ever crash lands in a massive hopium fireball of disappointment. Although if it did crash, I would definitely blame Steve Denusa. But one of the great things about more and more people being let into the beta is that more people are able to see for themselves.
Here's the thing about these intros and stuff. This was how my stream kind of always went, but my raid groups didn't used to fill up this quickly. The more popular the stream has become, the faster the raid groups have filled up, which means my intros have been forced to shrink. So now I've had to like kind of fight back where the group gets filled like instantly. The raid gets filled instantly. 20-man raid instantly filled, but I'm still doing my intro. So there's like this balancing act of how long do I do the intro? What do I do? Well, I just decided, we'll just go through the news.
What a good state this game is in.
But for those of you who used to come into the stream when we had 3-4 viewers, it used to take me like fucking 2 hours to fill up a raid group.
The zones are stunning and vast.
The good old
days. The questing
days.
is delightful, and even more so this week because there are so many more voice-acted lines added, as well as some new NPC click phrases, like that Khadgar one you heard at the beginning there. But another couple of personal favorites include...
Ever since we began our relationship, the heels in Lorthamar's boots seem to be getting higher and higher.
And...
What the hell?
Why, yes, it's currently floating over... Where did we leave that city?
There's dragon riding, of course, and the current state of dragon riding on the beta, which is very good indeed. So good, we made a whole video about this in the week, which I recommend you go and watch. And of course, the more people that get into
but
beta,
now you've had
the more
raid
people
success,
start to
so popularity
realize
follows.
Another thing that I've been saying, Dragonflight
The popularity doesn't happen without you guys,
feel
Miggity.
like a new age of World of Warcraft, and that's not hyperbole. One of the great things about WoW being so old now is that you genuinely can talk about it in ages. And if Vanilla, TBC, and Wrath are the classic age, with each expansion being variations on its original iteration and design philosophy, then Kata, Mists, and WoD are the experimental age, where the game was almost a victim of its own success in a way, having to find ways to reinvent itself with
the trilogies.
Mixed results. Or I sometimes hear those expansions called the Golden Age in terms of class design, but whatever. Legion, BFA, and Shadowlands are definitely the AP
strong start.
Each expansion based
Not so
around
strong
a core
finish.
borrowed power grind, which is then replaced in the next expansion. Dragonflight is very clearly something different from all of those.
Yes, we're in a new
far too early
trilogy.
to give the age that we're entering a name yet. It's going to take a couple of expansions for that, but it definitely feels very separate from what has come before. Quite old school in many ways, thanks to the talent trees and very traditional fantasy aesthetics of the Dragon Isle setting, which has strong Mr. Pandaria and WoD vibes in its questing, but also Dragonflight feels like the most defiantly modern expansion that I can remember, in no small part because of things like dragon riding. That's just an interesting little thing I like to think about. Let me know if you're in the beta and you've noticed that too. But the thing is, I'm not allowed to talk anymore about dragon riding, because every time we talk about dragon riding, we get loads of comments
title incoming?
Oh my god, you talk so much about dragon riding. There's clearly nothing else to talk about in this expansion because it's such a terrible expansion and this is such a dead game. And that's not really true. But it is true that Dragonflight definitely is missing that AP era core borrowed power grind that Legion had with artifacts, BFA had with Heart of Azeroth, and Shadowlands with legendaries, and to a lesser extent Covenants.
I just want to get gear and get good.
The new crafting system, which I think people are sleeping on a little bit when it comes to endgame progression, but also gearing too. With Blizzard removing the spark of ingenuity this week, which worked as a cap on the amount of crafted pieces that you could equip, it is now, in theory, possible to completely kit yourself out in mythic level crafted gear with some extra perks on top from that crafting. In practice, of course, that's going to be more work and time and gold than gearing through the traditional avenues of raids and dungeons and PvP, but I'm saying it's possible. And for people who are unwilling or unable to engage with any of those things, there is, of course, the open world Storm Sigil gearing we talked about last episode, which it's had some changes this week. But before we get into that, let's have something that we're going to be doing regularly from now on, a roundup of the most interesting observations and additions to the beta
smile when I queued
this week. Starting with...
That name always gets me.
We know where the Dragon Isles is, and its location might surprise you, because when you get onto your airship from Orgrimmar or your boat from Stormwind, the boat, by the way, that goes from the same dock as the Kultiras boat, and which is also the same model as the Kultiras boat, which means that if you are paying attention to the NPC telling you which boat has arrived, which is me, I'm that person, you have a 50-50 chance of ending up in BFA instead of Dragonflight, which is not what anyone wants. And anyway, even though the Dragon Isles aren't on the map yet, that airship or boat journey takes you
we talked about this.
To the northeast of Azeroth, because no one likes Kalimdor apparently, even Continental Shift. And if that location is a surprise to you, then, well, and I don't want to be rude here, you need to watch more Weekly Reset, okay? Because that is exactly where Ian Hazzikostas said it was going to be in literally one of his first ever Dragonflight interviews, which we reported on this show. Look, I'm not angry, I'm not having a go, it's fine. You should just watch more videos on this channel is all I'm saying. There are currently no max level character templates on the beta, which means you will be copying or creating a level 60 to play, making the leveling process a huge focus of this week's build. The leveling quests that take you through each zone are nice and direct. It'll take around 10 hours to complete them the first time through, although obviously your mileage may vary. And you shouldn't need to really supplement them with more than the odd side quest or dungeon to make sure you're always at a high enough level to move on to the next quest or zone when the time comes. There was a bit of a panic in the community when at the end of the third zone, the Azur Span, the quest box tells you that you need to be level 68 to progress to the next zone, which no one is when you get to that stage. But it turns out this appears to be a typo, because the starting quest for the final leveling zone Thaldraszus is actually available at level 66, which everyone's going to be at. What Dragonflight leveling apparently does not
that'd be bad. Level capping a zone that you can't get to.
Once we reach the new continent, making it the first expansion since Cataclysm to be without one. You just get the gang together in your faction capital, get on the boat, talk about how excited you are to go exploring, to document this new land and its inhabitants, and then straight away you are in the waking shores completing your first quest, which is indiscriminately murdering the native proto-dragons who are thousands of years old, because some of them weren't happy about the fact that all these strangers appeared in their home.
Of course.
Of course, no intro scenario will be a blessing to many players who level multiple alts each expansion. Most of us can now do that Shadowlands more intro with our eyes closed, partly because we know it so well, partly because we just can't bear to look
I don't
at
do
them
alts,
for
I only did it once.
a second longer. And that might be useful, because so far in Dragonflight, there is also no Threads of Fate style leveling system either. Currently, every alt will need to level through that linear storyline, or
the Columbus quest,
some less rewarding side quests every time. And a count-bound maxed out dragon riding tree or not, that's probably going to get old fast. Oh, speaking of dragon riding, something else that was added this week, new mount animations for your drakes.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday.
These are
very
awesome.
Cool.
I am a sucker for unique mount animations, and these are like
just
Demon
like Avatar,
Hunter class Order Hall mount level. We now have every dungeon testable
just like
on
any
the beta,
colonization
but still no Mythic
ever.
Plus, and every class now has some talent trees to play with. Yes, that's right. Some dev finally managed to work out how to spread Vengeance Demon Hunter's 4 buttons into 60 talent tree slots. I think it's fair to say that generally talent trees are taking shape pretty well. There are problem classes, but with the exception of 1 or 2, most are getting substantial reworks in decent time. This week it was mages and priests that were completely swapped around. Monks and paladins are probably the least happy of anyone right now, but I think as a system it is definitely on track for release, and it's news that I'm following closely because I'm interested about it rather than because I'm worried about it, you know? Something we don't have in beta yet: tier set bonuses. We know that there are tier sets in the first raid, as in armor sets for each class, and if those sets are going to come with tier set bonuses, that is going to be something that has a big impact on the feel of a lot of classes too. But then we haven't had any raid testing yet either, and those would be 2 things.
I'm looking forward to raid testing.
Another thing we don't have yet in the beta.
It's what we do on the stream,
cinematics.
So it matters.
Obviously, because I mean, why would you have them in beta? What a stupid thing to say, Tally, you idiot, you moron. And you're right, I am. But although various in-game cutscenes are sneaking into the build, generally super janky and without voice acting, I was reminded again this week of the hints towards 3 pre-expansion cinematics that we might look forward to. You know, when you walk up to an NPC and you're like, tell me what happened with such and such a thing, and it's obviously a cue to start playing a cinematic. Well, there's one of those guys with what looks like 3 cinematics to choose from, and those cinematics are referred to as Dawn of the Aspects, Neltharion's Downfall, and the Drakthir's Origins. Scale Commander Emberthor has this text box on the Drakthir starting area and in the faction capitals before you even set sail to go to the Dragon Isles. So I don't think these are cinematics that play organically in the gameplay. I'm thinking these will be Harbingers, Warbringers, Afterlives equivalent, cool animated things.
Maybe animated. We haven't gotten those in a while. Those were pretty cool.
Bits of the history and get us hyped.
The first time we saw those was kind of like WoD.
Especially looking forward to Neltharion's Downfall, because you would expect that to involve some old god shenanigans. But I mean, there are no old gods in Dragonflight though, right? We have had even more updates to the new UI and customization options, and it's getting to the stage where this feature is almost complete enough to start talking about. Pretty much every element can now be moved around to basically anywhere on the screen, saved in different profiles,
the UI,
and look,
great.
It looks shiny
Love
and modern.
Stuff.
What we don't have yet, though, is a snap to grid or snap to center option. And I'm sorry, dudes, I know you've worked really hard on it, but without that, I am going nowhere near the UI edit mode, because I'm an old man, okay? I can't do that shit by eye. All my bars are going to be just like slightly off from each other, and that's going to cause me major unconscious anxiety. And honestly, I'd rather not do anything than have ever so slightly off-center bars.
We had animated cutscenes in BFA, didn't we?
To line up perfectly, but which I suspect...
We had full-on cinematic cutscenes in BFA, but did we have animated ones? Like the Warlords style, where like they're drawn and all that? I don't remember. We did get them... I take it back, though. We did get them in Shadowlands. Remember where... what's his name? Where Arthas kills Uther. We had that. Yeah, we had those animated.
Might be slightly off-center, because how would I even know if there's no snap to center?
Oh, in BFA we did have the burning of the tree. That's right.
Calm down, but don't
where
worry,
Sylvanas burns the tree down. That was an animated cutscene.
Storm scale gear.
That too.
So last week we told you about
I thought there was some in Nagitar.
Storm scale seal gearing option, where you complete Primalist Invasions
you guys are right.
for up to 4 storm scale sigils a week for almost normal raid level gear, and Elemental Overflow, which is infinitely farmable and awards almost LFR level starter gear. And I guess it's meant to work as a long-term gearing option for solo players who don't raid or dungeon, and a low-level basic bad luck protection for everyone else. Because it took about 70-odd storm sigils to get the whole 395 set, which is like 17 or 18 weeks of farming. That has changed on the beta this week. And like so much in the new crowd-pleasing age of WoW, I am happy to report it is now a lot quicker and a lot easier to attain those storm sigils and get that gear.
Lower
the
time.
If that makes you happy, then psych, because I lied. It's actually much longer.
I personally don't like the anime cutscenes since I think they're lazier than the animated full-on.
Right, the blue elemental.
I mean, if I got to pick, Amaraz, I totally agree. If I got to pick, I would definitely pick the full-on cinematics like we got in BFA. That's my favorite way of storytelling in this game. But it's just unrealistic to expect that for every single cutscene, because it just takes them so long.
Overflow gear still costs
so I'll
the same
take
amount
the
of
animated
elemental
ones rather than
overflow to
nothing.
buy, but Each piece
that's how I see it.
also costs a single storm scale seal on top of that. And the purple 395 storm scale gear now needs players to already own the blue elemental overflow version of the gear to purchase it. And the price of every one of those storm scale items has
gone
have the
up, lower gear to get the higher gear.
to over double the amount of storm scale
it's better than
seals.
Nothing, that's for sure.
Except, weirdly, for the
better
hat,
than the little
which is
chat
cheaper.
bubbles
so
when the character's
just
talking in
the
game.
entire 395 set now costs considerably more storm scale seals than it did before. But of course, you can still only get 4 a week with no catch-up, which severely nerfs how attainable and therefore how useful this gear is. Because with this kind of early low-level gear, it's useful.
You'll probably
This doesn't
outgear
come
it
from
before
its
it's
unremarkable
useful.
item level so much as it does from the relative ease or speed of its acquisition. Like, that's why the class order hall sets in Legion weren't very useful at all from a gearing perspective. If you'd been able to
2D
access it
animation
a
is
couple
not
of weeks
less
into
work
the
than
expansion,
3D.
it would have
Really?
been genuinely useful to a lot of players for a while, but with the way it was time-gated, by the time you'd collected the set, it was months into the expansion, and you naturally
then I wonder why they would
already
ever do
had much
2D over
better
3.
gear. And I've got to be honest, this
Artistic
seems like
choice,
a
I guess.
strange decision to me, since I considered last week's version of those prices pretty much on the cusp of usefulness anyway. But I have to say, my fears were quickly allayed by a quick trip to the forums, where my mind was put at rest by the thoughtful and insightful observations from WoW's finest minds about
it's never
it was
good.
A shit show, obviously. There
Really
it is,
significant
the
less
Blizzard
than
we all know and love,
2D's cheaper,
who hate us.
but
They
it's
just
more
couldn't
work.
resist
Gotcha.
spoiling it. This is definitely a sign of things to come. Why? No! This sucks in such a predictable way. I am so tired. Because I've been sitting here telling
Why
you
do
about
people
the
get
very
so
modern design philosophy
up
of
in arms,
Dragonflight for months now. How it has excellent ult catch-up and
A lot of
account-wide
healers queuing
unlocks.
today.
How system progress, as important as dragon riding, is uncapped and ungated and just out there for the taking whenever you want. How Blizzard absolutely, totally listened regarding endgame power grinds and basically just removed them. And all that is true and worthy of praise. And then we get to this. Is this the first red flag of Dragonflight?
No, I think
the start
they'll
of the
fix
slippery
it.
slope that will see all of our most hated Blizzardisms creeping back into the game even before it's out the gate. Do Blizzard
swap the
hate
tank,
you
but I don't know all
and
the fights
disrespect
from
your
the tank.
time? Well, I mean,
Reaper,
yes,
let's
obviously,
see
but I think
after
it's
the video's
probably
done
important to
if we have
take
a
this
tank yet or not.
particular change in
But
context.
thank you for offering.
Because firstly, there has been, at this point, not a single word from Blizzard about the original implementation of these vendors, the Stormscale sigil acquisition, or the prices to buy them, and not a word on this new version either. Furthermore, I keep saying that you get 1 Stormscale sigil per invasion for 4 per week, but that info is actually quite old now, and it comes from the last time Stormscale sigils were actually dropping in-game.
4 per week is not
which
a lot.
they haven't been now for the last 2 builds. Also, a quick look at the invasions themselves shows that they are still, for the most part, not properly implemented. Only a handful even have the intended cool elemental weather effects when you get to them. There's no completion criteria, and the vast majority don't even have any unique mobs
completely
or basically
unfinished, it sounds
anything
like.
different about them at all. Basically, it is quite obvious that these things are incredibly unfinished right now, and the reason that Blizz isn't talking about Stormscale sigils and the gear that you buy with them is because they haven't really decided what they're doing with them yet either, and they're not ready for the conversation. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think this current version isn't a downgrade on the one that came before. It most definitely is. It's going to take a depressingly long time to collect this gear, which makes it utterly useless to anyone doing any other content.
If you raid, you're just going to outgear it before you can get it.
As their main gearing source. But it is also transparently not a finished iteration.
We'll probably
Elemental
skip
invasions
this.
are another
Skip that
of
part
the
of the
big
gearing
things
process
that
if you
just
raid.
aren't in this beta yet. And until they are, I think it's probably worth focusing on the stuff that Blizz is asking for feedback on. So that sounded like a bit of a moan, and I just want to say at the end here, Dragonflight is looking really good right now. There is plenty to be getting excited about.
Is this guy a clone of Total Biscuit? Who are you talking about? Taliesin?
Very brave.
Or me?
You might even allow yourself to be quietly optimistic that this is going to be a fun time. Just don't light any naked flames around all that hopium, though, okay?
Nah, he's
Not
just
because
British,
it's dangerous, you understand,
the
but
guy's
I mean...
speaking. Yeah, I think he's just British, that's why you say that.
Tally, I thought you said the office was finished.
Finishing is what I said. Finishing.
They're still moving.
I definitely heard finished.
We're on the final straight, but that straight could be quite long.
Right.
Long.
Yeah, moving is not a fun
narrow,
process.
Yeah.
Endless. Just.
This is what they all say about
Just
me.
need a tank.
Hi. As you can
As soon as
see,
we get one
we're
on the
still
video
kind of
here.
moving in. We're still setting stuff up, so everything for the weekly reset isn't quite there. No green screen yet.
No.
I thought we'd have it up by this week, but we don't.
I'm sorry.
So we couldn't use one of the many, many intros that I've written at this point.
They're just bottled up.
Yeah, no, seriously,
Just
like
saving them up.
Every time there's like a new beta build or something, I'm like, there are certain things that cannot change for these jokes to work. So I'm like, really, like, just fingers crossed, like, please don't change, please don't change, please don't change. I've got all these weekly resets. So next week there will be a green screen, I'm sure, and we'll have some amazing intros and stuff like that. And this is very slowly taking shape and what have you as well. So we're getting there.
Yeah,
you think this
I've moved twice in my life.
No, this is easily the nicest
Since I got
room in
married,
the house.
not fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long, hard move so far. To be perfectly honest, but worth it. You know, it's great. It's great.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We just realised once we moved into this house that it turns out we've got very different tastes from the people that lived here before us. So, for example, my personal taste is there aren't holes in the roof and walls. Whereas obviously the people that lived here before us were like, boom, holes in the roof and walls, amazing.
Yeah.
Like, personally, I like it.
Where
when
are the
there's a
tanks
floor.
today, man?
I like that floor
Where
to
are you
reach
guys?
all the way to the wall.
Queue up if
without,
you're a
like,
tank in
just
chat.
A big
Just
gap
queue
into
up.
nothingness.
Let's go.
You know what? Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, but people that lived here before us,
No, they also, you know what? They also really liked having like a cable to something, and then just forgetting about it. Never
hundreds of years.
We are sleeping still.
Just painting
Lord
over the
Vader,
cable.
what's
And
up,
then if they
man?
needed another cable,
I can imagine.
they just stuck another one there, and then they painted over it again.
People that lived in this house before us, like what they did on the weekend because they didn't have WoW or whatever, they were just like, "Hey, should we drill another hole through the wall into
all
the
at school.
outside and put some weird?"
Are you saying
kind
only
of, like,
only children
1940s
and Sam
cable through
tank?
there? That'd be amazing. Let's do that.
Yeah.
What a great
I
time
can swamp
we
the
had.
tank, but I
Anyway,
never
it is, like
tanked
I
any
say,
of these
taking
fights.
shape. And
need
this
to
sofa
explain what
bit,
to do.
no sofa, not a real sofa bit, is it?
No,
Let's
we
see.
do not have a sofa
I
yet.
feel
Still have a little
I
bit
feel
left
we're cheating
this video. We'll
everyone,
see if
but
anyone
at
queues
least this
before
is
it's
the best
over.
bit of the video because you're here.
Oh, thanks.
You weren't in the rest of the video.
I wasn't.
Because no intro, you see.
No,
And no
exactly.
section either for you because we haven't got like your own little corner of the set on yet.
Exactly.
We just have to like awkwardly swap places on the desk, and that's not going to work.
I'm gonna have my own chair.
I know. Have you
I have
thought
a
about that
special
yet?
chair. I think about it every day. Think about my new chair every day.
Well, I love that you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
you've made
good-
this
yeah,
video
in this
so much better,
Oh, thanks.
just by your mere presence. But we can't stick around idle chit chatting
No,
though.
we gotta go. Time is ticking.
We are going on holiday in like the second this video
Holiday.
is uploaded. I say holiday.
Going on a
couple of months
break.
Away with
I
our
love how in Europe
children
they call it
and
holiday.
Our guild
Yeah.
in the old centre parks,
This
mate.
is WoW content.
Science.
We are talking about WoW related content.
Exactly,
right now.
our guild who we play WoW with and who
Exactly.
have been doing season 4, and I'm going to ask them all about it because I haven't touched season 4. Well, because Dragonflight Alpha is so good and I enjoy playing it so much. And I look at season 4, I'm like, I should play with the guild and I should do some raiding or something or some Mythic Plus or anything basically. I just
That's
have
good to
time.
know. He'd rather play alpha or beta
Sweet,
than
sweet,
season
sweet.
4.
Oh,
Means
that's
it's that
amazing.
good.
Can't wait.
Or does it mean that season 4 is that bad?
Guild, when we get
I don't know.
there.
And eat
I think
your
season
sausage.
4 is
Yeah,
been
and I
fun.
can't wait. You gotta be careful about eating our guild sausage. I got food poisoning last holiday from a dodgy sausage. Honestly, first time we'd been away from our babies, our baby at the time, for like 2 years.
Yep.
Went away on guild holiday. First thing that happened, I ate a sausage from the barbecue. I got food poisoning. I was
Instantly.
out of action for the rest of the
First
trip.
night, literally instantly, I was so mad.
so
'cause
bad.
I just thought he was drunk and hungover, and the next day I was like,
She got mad at him.
Rolling her eyes at everything.
Such
I
ruined
such a
our
wifey
holiday
thing to do.
by getting wasted on the first night.
Meanwhile, I was like shivering, cold sweats with food poisoning, unable to even move, and I've got my
Like,
beautiful,
for days.
wonderful, caring wife who loves me
And
so
she
much.
thought he was
Like,
drunk.
just F you. What? How could you ruin this holiday? Like,
Well,
after
new
a couple of days,
content
you
is
realise
always
it
going
was
to be
hangover
king.
events.
Yeah,
It was
true.
like, yeah, and then we
True.
loved each other again. All was fine. All was well. So hopefully some more adventures this time. Oh, I can't wait.
Without food
It's going to be
poisoning.
really good. But we'll be back.
But with sausages.
We'll be back towards the end of the week. So, we'll be back streaming, and we'll be back like making another weekly reset for next
My
week.
only
as well. So I
real
hope there's lots of
complaint
good beta stuff.
Is that Mythic Plus
Unlike on
dungeons,
this
especially
holiday
hierarchies,
weekend.
require so much more healing than
Yeah, I can't wait. Oh,
seasons
and
since
also
pre-patch
patrons,
BFA.
Man, have you got some
They're
patron
difficult.
videos coming
They're much
your
more
way?
You
difficult.
guys.
So so exciting because, of course, this office is coming together.
Not just healing, but even on
tanks.
tanks.
Coming to look at some brick slips for the wall.
Who did this
do a
to
whole
me?
video on our new desk setup. You might have seen a little sneak peek of my amazing cable management. This is the kind of amazing stuff that happens on Patreon.
Honestly, it's quite nice.
But you haven't seen anything yet because we've got a desk each, and these desks, Evitel. Okay, there's only one so far because it took me like an entire day to set up. But I think you'll see why, and why it was worth it. A little sneak peek.
Yeah, oh, we got standing desks. There you go.
It's the future and it's here.
Okay, it's pretty amazing.
I mean,
yours does it too. First time I've ever gotten excited.
Whispering eye.
Wow, well, I mean, not me. I get excited about my desk every day. Wow, what an amazing job I have. So thank you, patrons. Thank you for supporting the channel and helping out with these.
Supporting his standing desk. What's up,
very
Amaraz?
heavy load bearing.
You'll get a closer. You'll get a closer look at our next Q&A.
Yeah, who knows? I'll put it up as high as it can go. I can't. The wires to some of these monitors are a bit too tight and not enough slack. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons.
Yeah.
Thank you, patrons.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.
Who give their actual real-life money so we can do this.
They can move the desk.
If you didn't like it, down.
Okay. We are waiting. Epically waiting for a tank. This has not happened in quite a while. I have to say. This has not happened in quite a while. You know why this is happening? Because I jinxed it this morning. And I said, you guys remember the days back when it would take us 2 hours to fill up raid? And here we are. And I said, no, we just fill up raid in 5 minutes. And then look at this. Look at this. I spoke it into existence. I jinxed the raid, and now we are waiting for raid to fill up.